Hello guys, Harden here, back with another Eve Echoes video. Just a relatively quick one tonight, another kind of follow-up on some of the action that's been happening up in Declan this evening in between the Crab Coalition and the Silent Coalition. Again, this is just my point of view as a sort of a line member of Silent. I'm not particularly active, I only play like an hour or so a day, but today was a public holiday here, so I actually had a bit more time, so I was able to get the agreement of my wife and family that I could play for a while. 6:30 a.m. start here, which is a bit tough, and it's now nearly 11:30 and we've pretty much just finished. Anyway, as you can see here, you can see my Typhoon is alive. It didn't die. But let me explain a little bit more, because I didn't lose a Typhoon, but I did lose 2 Ravens and a Drake in the various skirmishes tonight. So I'll explain a little bit. We got set up early at VFK station. We had our fleets out, had the station bubbled, and yeah, everything was looking good, but the numbers in local started to kind of rise substantially. I'd say there was about 300 on our side, or maybe 200. I'm not quite sure. Again, I wasn't one of the FCs, so I don't know the exact details, but it was about 200, 250, possibly 300 on our side, and the total in local was creeping up towards 700. We had more in VFK this morning than there was in Jita, and most of the enemy was docked. There were a few ships popped out from time to time, most of which re-docked safely, but there were a few people that did kind of get popped. Enemies, Crab Coalition guys got popped on the undock for various reasons. I'm not quite sure why. Possibly they kind of lagged out when they undocked, which kind of leads on to the next phase. So we were all in a nice position. I actually had my Typhoon with the fleet, and I had 2 Ravens, super tank Ravens, just on the undock, primarily just as kind of they were just there as meat shields, really. They weren't really going to get involved in the fight. I wasn't going to aggress with them. I was primarily just going to sit there at when the crab undocked, just let them take a bit of fire and then dock up. But that was a gigantic mistake with the state of the servers in Eve Echoes, unfortunately, because when the enemy undocked, basically my 2 Ravens just completely froze up. Nothing was responsive, nothing was working, and I couldn't dock, even though I had the docking window open. I was clicking on the station, dock, just nothing was happening, and both crashed shortly after, and when I logged back those in later, both were dead, killed by the Crab Coalition, because basically I think they undocked, I'm not quite sure how many, but it was approximately 80 dreads, I think. Now again, I apologize if I've got that wrong, but it was an absolute ton of dreads undocked at VFK station, which is what they really needed to do, because Silent was kind of well set up around the station. So again, and this is second-hand information, basically I believe it was sniping dreads were the kind of setup, which allowed Crab basically to kind of clear the Silent people from around the station. The problem was, it wasn't just my 2 Ravens at the station that completely blacked out. My Typhoon, which was running on my tablet, actually didn't crash, but basically for the first 10-15 minutes after the undock, couldn't see anything happening. Basically, I was listening on Discord. We were receiving commands. At one stage, our FC's Nightmare was taking a lot of damage. I think it had gone down to something like 5% structure. Hadn't been rescued, and I was just sitting there and nothing was responding. I had 3 people on my overview. My ship I had luckily anchored up on the FC prior to the fight. My ship apparently was moving. We then got some orders after a short time, when all the dreads undocked. We got orders to kind of warp off. So I gave the order to warp to a friendly pos, and again nothing happened. Like, it was literally 10 minutes, and then suddenly I could see, because he was on my watch list, I could see our FC taking all this damage, which he'd been talking about 10 minutes earlier. He'd been saved, but I was seeing it 10 minutes after it actually happened. And then again, we kind of, the fleet was regrouping and warping off to kind of try and follow, because obviously Crab wanted to go and kill some of our citadels, so our fleet had kind of regrouped and was going after them. And I was just still sitting there looking at a blank screen, and then eventually when I came back, it was docked in this pos, but unfortunately by then our fleet had already moved off, so I was still stuck in VFK in an unbubbled, it was just like some random outpost, but I couldn't go join up because there were so many people around. It was like, as I said, there was like 700 people all told in VFK at the start of the fight, that there was no way I was going to drive my Typhoon around solo. So I was kind of just left behind in VFK. So anyway, that would have been very boring because there was a lot of interesting stuff going on. There was a lot of kind of little skirmishes. Once again, Master Yoda in his Inti fleet was catching a lot of stragglers on the enemy side. I believe they had 6, and again, correct me, I could be wrong on this, but I believe that they had 6 potential citadels to try and knock down this evening. And so even though they kind of won that initial skirmish on the station, our fleets were still kind of harassing them all the way. And again, I can't remember. So what I did was, one of the ships I'd logged back in, one of the Ravens I'd lost, I put it over to CZD, where I have like a backup Drake, which is just basically an anti-Inti Drake. Sorry. Sorry, that was my wife doing a song. An anti-Inti Drake, and I kind of headed on down to see what I could do to help. And by now they had got into, I can't remember what system it was. It was a system, maybe it was YAO, which was next to Ifico, which is one of the ones that they actually did succeed in taking down. And a battle happened at an Ansible gate, and luckily I happened to be on the other side of that. So I thought it's not wise. The enemy was on the gate, so I thought it's probably not wise to jump in right now. But then notification came that the enemy were trying to evacuate because basically their fleet at that gate was getting slaughtered. So I jumped in, and I actually had a point on my ship and landed next to an APOC, which I kind of held down, and the APOC started shooting at me, and I had a very nice tank on the Drake, and luckily held him long enough for some of our Intis and other people to get onto him. And then I also caught a Rogue as well on the same kind of Ansible Stargate, and basically at that gate there was a huge slaughter. Basically, I don't know. I think they lost a few nightmares in that battle as well. Basically, Silent basically completely wasted their fleet there, and as a result, they started heading back to VFK to reship and then to go to fight another citadel. And again, our fleet were kind of maneuvering to do that as well. I wasn't actually in the fleet because basically a Drake is definitely non-CTA, and I kind of thought I would do more good trying to kind of catch stragglers, try and catch some of the kind of inties that the enemy had roaming around and that sort of stuff, which is what I proceeded to do. Had a few nice little scraps on gates. We got back to VFK, our fleet, following the enemy fleet, and I was at the gate. I'm not sure, I think it was the 2K gate, and a bit of a fight developed there, and I ended up with my Drake getting a Daredevil kill, which was worth 500 million, and then I also helped kill a Caracal Navy, which was significantly less. I think it was about 50 million, and I think I contributed on another couple of, because again, some of the Crab guys were reshipping in VFK and trying to go to 2K where the main fight was happening. So myself and a few other Silent people, again, who were randomly just had reshipped or whatever, were fighting on that gate. But eventually what happened was we ended up having a lot of crabs coming into that gate, so I eventually lost my Drake on that gate. So basically my tally for the night was 2 Ravens, 2 cheap Ravens. As I said, they were just fit for tank, really, just as a kind of distraction, which basically died through no fault of my own, basically just the netties and the game crashing. And then the Drake, which I have to say went down fighting. So I was quite happy. It was a really nice little skirmish on the gate. I got that nice 500 million something kill on the Daredevil, so it actually turned out to be a lot of fun in the end. Again, the evening started out so terrible. That whole bit when they undocked and everything just became completely unplayable. I was thinking, oh my god, why did I get up at 6:30 a.m. for this? But in the end, 4 hours later, I would say overall it was a good experience. And again, just to kind of sum up, I think the Crab Coalition succeeded in taking down 2 of the 6 citadels they were going for, but in the process lost a lot of ships. And I think someone quoted, and again, someone on the Discord said that over the course of the night they lost 8 nightmares. And again, I'm not sure if that's correct. I know I've seen a couple, at least on our kill boards. I know that they took some quite significant losses, and I know particularly that Ansible Stargate in the system next to eFico, I mean, whatever fleet they had there pretty much got completely wiped out. But overall, again, yes, they took some of our citadels. We inflicted a lot of losses on them, and I think everyone probably had a lot of fun. Well, I certainly did. Just have to go and crab. I was going to say crab. It's probably the wrong word. For a few more days and get my ISK back up. So anyway, thank you guys for listening. I hope if you do enjoy this video that you do like and subscribe. If you want to hear more of my wife singing, do let me know in the comments. Many thanks. Bye.
You say that.